Hello there and welcome once again to Truro Cathedral, and I've brought you to another different part of the cathedral today, and I'm in the retro choir before the St Margaret's altar, and behind the altar you can probably see the pictures of the crucifixion that were painted there by Craigie Aitchison. We're here for one of our regular times of biblical reflection and prayer. And we're going to look today at Revelation chapter 9, verses 13 to the end, which is the New Testament reading at morning prayer on Friday the 13th of November. I'll read it to you. And the sixth angel blew his trumpet, and I heard a voice from the four horns of the golden altar before God, saying to the sixth angel who had the trumpet, "Release the four angels who are bound at the great river Euphrates." So the four angels were released who had been held ready for the hour, the day, the month and the year, to kill a third of humankind. The number of the troops of cavalry was 200 million. I heard their number, and this was how I saw the horses in my vision. The riders wore breastplates, the colour of fire and of sapphire and of sulphur. The heads of the horses were like lions' heads, and fire and smoke and sulphur came out of their mouths. By these three plagues, a third of humankind was killed, by the fire, smoke and sulphur coming out of their mouths. For the power of the horses is in their mouths and in their tails. Their tails are like serpents having heads, and with them they inflict harm. The rest of humankind who were not killed by these plagues did not repent of the works of their hands, or give up worshipping demons and idols of gold and silver and bronze and stone and wood, which cannot see or hear or walk. They did not repent of their murders, or their sorceries, or their fornication, or their theft. If you're anything like me, you're going to find reading the book of Revelation, I think, quite a challenge and quite difficult. It belongs to the genre of apocalyptic literature, and if you have fundamentally at the heart of your faith the idea of a loving and forgiving God, then you're going to struggle, as I do, to get your head into a place where you can begin to understand what this particular part of the New Testament is trying to tell you. We need to, I think, put the genre of this literature in its context. If you read the Old Testament, you will find that quite often there is a circular story in the Old Testament where either judges or prophets or other people of God are sent to try and persuade Israel to return to God's path and obey his commandments. When Israel respond to God's messengers, then things tend to get better. If Israel ignores the words of the prophets or falls away again from the faith that God has given to them, then things tend to go to disarray. Really, this apocalyptic literature belongs after the time of the prophets, and was common in Jewish thinking around about the first century BC, going into the first century and even the early second century. It is therefore literature common on one level to the time of Jesus. And what this literature often says is that the time of the prophets is gone. There is no way now that Israel, through its own efforts, can bring about its salvation. The only way this world can truly be changed is for God to intervene in a dramatic way, and once and for all to put all things right. To some extent, in our creeds, we cling to that belief today. And soon when we get to Advent, we will hear again quite a lot about the hopes of the second coming of Jesus, and that moment when this cracked world we live in may be made whole once again. On a political level, this reflects the fact also that the golden age for Israel really was the time of David and Solomon, and from that moment onwards they found themselves very much under the oppression of various other states. And of course, by the time Revelation is written, they are minnows in world politics, completely dominated by the Roman Empire that at that time dominated the known world. It sounds then on one level like a theology of desperation, but yet on another level it is a theology of hope. It does say that despite all the difficulties of this life, God is still in control, and God can come and put things right. And that's something that we still, I think, on occasion need to hear today. And I've said to people in the past, as we sit in our relative comfort, although our relative comfort has faced its discomfort in recent times in the face of COVID-19, then it really is hard for us to get to the core of this theology that is both desperate and hopeful. But I guess if we found ourselves under the real oppression and brutality of a brutal and desperate regime, then we may find some solace in these difficult words that we find in the book of Revelation. I'm going to offer, just to close, a prayer about hope. At the same time, it does speak a little of discomfort. Do not give us rest, Lord, while people are hungry and we are rich. As long as justice is a dream, press us on, and do not give us rest. Do not give us peace, Lord, while people live in fear and we are safe. As long as hatred stifles love, stir us up, and do not give us peace. Do not give us comfort, Lord, while people are desperate and we are well. As long as lives are lived in pain, disturb us, and do not give us comfort. But give us hope to share, O Christ, hope that disturbs and stirs and shakes. The hope of Job, the hope of the lame, the hope of new life, beyond the pain, until all find comfort and peace and rest. Christ, give us hope to share.